Years earlier, the woman Aisha Rahman had been known to the world as a symbol of success. From billboards to business magazines, her face represented power, elegance, and wealth. But none of those stories ever mentioned the empty bedroom in her mansion, the toys that were never touched, or the photo she kept hidden in a locked drawer. Her daughter, Zara, had vanished one rainy afternoon when she was just 5. One moment she was holding Aisha's hand outside a bookstore, the next she was gone. No ransom call ever came. No trace was found. The police searched, volunteers searched, the city searched, until they didn't. Life moved on for everyone else. For Aisha, it stopped. She funded search teams, built foundations, and put Zara's face on every screen that would take her money. Still, the nights were unbearable. Guilt followed her everywhere. Guilt for checking her phone that day, guilt for trusting the crowd, guilt for breathing when her child might not be. Over time, hope became something dangerous. It hurt too much to hold on to, but letting go felt like betrayal. So Aisha lived in between, functioning, smiling, succeeding, and quietly breaking. Now, standing on a busy sidewalk years later, she stared at the girl who had stopped her. The girl couldn't have been more than 13. Her clothes were simple, her shoes worn, but her posture was steady. "What do you mean you know her?" Aisha asked, her voice trembling despite herself. The girl swallowed. I think she's my sister." The word sister hit Aisha harder than any headline ever had. She felt dizzy, her breath shallow. The girl explained in fragments at first, how she'd been raised in a small town by a woman who took in lost children, how one girl there never spoke about her past, how she screamed in her sleep when it rained. "She has a small scar behind her ear," the girl added quietly, "from when she fell as a baby. I heard the woman say it once." Aisha's knees nearly gave way. That scar was something only she and her husband had known. They sat in a nearby cafe, untouched cups of tea cooling between them as the girl Miriam spoke more clearly. She told of Zara, now called Sarah, withdrawn but kind, older than Miriam by a few years. Aisha listened, afraid to interrupt, afraid to hope. Every detail felt like both a miracle and a knife. When Miriam finished, silence settled between them, thick and fragile. Aisha reached across the table, her hand shaking. "Will you take me to her?" she whispered. Miriam nodded. "That's why I came." The road to the small town felt endless. With every mile, Aisha's heart raced faster, fear battling hope. What if it wasn't her child? What if Zara didn't remember her? What if she hated her for failing? When they finally arrived, the house was modest, surrounded by trees and quiet. The woman who answered the door looked startled, then defensive. But when Aisha spoke Zara's real name, the woman's shoulders slumped. She stepped aside without a word. Zara stood in the corner of the room. Taller now, her hair longer, her eyes older than her years. When she saw Aisha, confusion flickered across her face. Aisha took one step forward, then stopped, afraid to scare her away. "Zara," she said softly, her voice breaking. "It's Mama." For a moment, nothing happened. Then Zara's eyes filled with tears she didn't seem to understand. Memories stirred. Rain, a bookstore, a warm hand suddenly gone. She took a hesitant step, then another, and finally collapsed into Aisha's arms. Years of loss poured out in one broken sob. They held each other like the world might disappear again if they let go. The journey back was not the end of pain, but the beginning of healing. Zara struggled with anger and fear. Aisha struggled with guilt and patience. Some nights were loud with tears, others were quiet with regret. But slowly, with honesty, therapy, and love, they rebuilt what had been stolen. Miriam became part of the family too, no longer just the girl who spoke up, but a bridge between a broken past and a hopeful future. ATA press conference months later, Aisha stood not as a billionaire, but as a mother. Zara stood beside her, holding her hand. "I searched the world for my child," Aisha said, her voice steady. "But it was a child who found me." She spoke about listening, about kindness, about the power of one brave voice. The room was silent, many in tears. That day, Aisha went home and unlocked the drawer she had avoided for years. She placed the old photo beside a new one, two sisters smiling, arms around each other. The pain hadn't vanished, but it no longer ruled her. She had learned that hope doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes, it comes quietly, through a small voice in a crowd, brave enough to speak the truth. And if you listen, really listen, it can change everything.